Have you lived in your home for over 5 years? Have you lived in your home for over 10 years? Have you ever asked yourself what it would be like if you added square footage to your home and made it larger? The biggest question I get asked about adding square footage to the home is, does it make sense for the property value and the house that you live in? Hi, I'm David Montelongo. My company is Sunrise Restoration. Today I'm going to give you 3 tips on building a foundation or adding a foundation to your current residence. So I've been building and remodeling in the San Antonio area for over 20 years, and one of the biggest things that's very, very important to me as I build room additions around the city, and we've been doing it for years. The family's been doing it since 1975. One of the biggest things is that if you're building a room addition, this is tip number 1, if you're building a room addition, the type of foundation that you're going to use for your room addition should be the same type of foundation that you have on your existing home. So what do I mean by that? Well, in Texas, in South Texas, we basically have 2 types of foundations that we see in most cases. There's some variations, but in most cases, you're either going to have, maybe in the inner city, older areas, maybe more classic areas of town, a pier and beam foundation, or if you live on the outskirts of town, a property built from the 1950s or later, there's a good chance that you have a concrete foundation. So the point is if you have a concrete foundation on your current home and you're thinking about adding square footage and you're thinking about what type of foundation should I do, and you're thinking about starting to consult with builders, the number 1 thing that I would say is going into that foundation work is plan, before you ask any other questions, plan to have your builder or remodeler use the same type of foundation to build your room addition as the current house. One of the biggest reasons for this is as you're walking from one portion of the house into another portion of into the new portion of the house, you don't want it to feel differently. In a concrete foundation, it feels very solid. If it's a pier and beam foundation, there's a little bit of flex to it. If your house is pier and beam, you don't want to walk out onto a solid feeling floor. It feels different. So that transition is really, really important. Plus, the way the house is tied together from the old to the new is always easier and done more proficiently and professionally when you use the same type of construction or the same method of construction. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is this: if you're interviewing contractors, the big question that you want to ask is, do you have an engineer that you work with? I build a lot in the city of San Antonio, Alamo Heights, and some of the surrounding areas. Most of our cities, including San Antonio, don't actually send building inspectors to go out and inspect a foundation. So when you pull your permit, they let you know, great, you pulled your permit, make sure and get a third-party engineer to come out and inspect the foundation, and then you submit that engineer's letter, and that suffices for or serves as your inspection process for the foundation. So one of the first things, and this is tip number 2, that you're going to ask your builder/remodeler is you're going to ask them, do you have an engineer that you work with, and is that engineer experienced in tying room addition foundations to existing house foundations? So very, very important. And then my 3rd tip comes to how to pay, or who pays for the engineer. And it can go either way. Lots of folks do it in different ways, but I'm going to make a recommendation to you for this, and it will make sure that you get a professional service that you need without paying double for it. And I know that that's important for me when I build. I want to build a beautiful product, but value is always of most important to me, as it is to most of my clients. So the question I would ask your builder is the cost of the engineering for the foundation, let's say, is that built into my scope of work, or is that built into my contract, or part of the total package for what you're providing for building this addition to my house? Or will I be paying for third-party financial services separately? My recommendation to you is this: an engineer is not inexpensive. It's one of the you're paying for a professional service, somebody who's been schooled to do what they do, and they charge a good amount for it. So when you do that, you don't want to pay twice for that professional service. So what you can request from your contractor is request that you're able to pay for your professional services directly. That keeps from that cost, let's say the engineer's cost or the professional service cost, being added to your total budget, and then profit and overhead being marked on top of that. So then you're paying for professional service twice. So when I offer that to my customers, I make sure and I let them know that we're going to hire a third-party engineer to inspect everything, the foundation, sometimes the framing, but they'll be paying for that separately. And then I give them a heads up about what that cost is so they can create, put it in their total budget. So those are 3 tips for you guys on how to, if you're going to build a room addition, how to get it done in a professional way, in a way that works well, the way that's going to be long lasting for your house, and it's going to add the best value to your house and to save a few dollars. So I hope this was helpful to you. If you guys follow my videos. We've got some additional videos down below. Check it out, and I hope to talk to you very soon.